I'm calling up.
Beat them 45-7. They are going to run that shit down.
Don't trust Ryan Day's play calling, just like the governor of Ohio.
This is a Lamar Jackson meat rider.
Yeah.
Meat rider.
And Lamar Jackson is better than Josh Allen. If you're really
my mouth, I'm just saying, I think it's a very close race.
Welcome to Chopping It Up, the new sports podcast. My name is Jonah Anderson, your host. Bryce Barber, Preston Shepard, Eric McDonald. Today, we'll be talking about round one of the college football playoffs.
As well as some of our NFL teams and how we feel about them and a brief outlook on their future.
We're going to be talking about the NFL MVP race, who we think deserves it the most.
And we're also going to be ending it off on our top college football quarterback prospect.
So, how are you guys feeling? How's everything going?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Doing great.
Okay, man. Okay. So what this podcast means is like we're getting into a lot more football side of things, like football, college football, NFL football as well. Big NFL people, big college football people. We're gonna also kind of get into a little bit of basketball, but we're mostly gonna focus on football. And where we want this podcast to go is just we want to make sure that you guys are having the entertainment that you guys want, especially on the younger side of things. Because a lot of sports podcasts, there's a lot of older people, but with this news format, we're just a bunch of people chopping it up and, yeah.
Hanging out, having a good time.
That's right.
Enjoying watching football, talking sports.
College students living our life, man.
Talking a little trash.
Yeah.
But
we debate
for the people that deserve it.
We debate with each other already. Might as well just film it and for you guys' entertainment as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
With that being said, what's the first topic we're going to talk about?
Okay, we'll start chopping it up. We're going to talk about number 12 Clemson going into number 5 Texas right now. The biggest story that's coming out of this is not even about like how the teams are going to perform. It's mostly like who is going to start at quarterback? Who do you want to start at quarterback on the Texas side of things? Not like Clemson side, because everybody knows that Cade's going into that. Cade came from Westlake. He's ready to play and stuff. But I'm a Longhorns fan, so a bunch of us right over here are Longhorn fans as well. But we're kind of like the Arch versus Quinn debate. It's a really good debate. And we're going to kind of get into that right now. So, Preston, who do you think should start for Texas?
Well, first off, yes, like you said, Jonah, we're all from the Austin area, so we're all rooting for the Longhorns this weekend. They play this weekend, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, they play this weekend, so we're all rooting for the Longhorns. When it comes to the quarterback situation, it's a little iffy. Like, I love Quinn because of what he's done, and he's, partly Stark, but he has kind of changed the program a little bit for us. We were pretty poverty before Quinn. We had the dark days with
Charlie Strong.
Yeah, Charlie Strong. Yeah, don't even want to talk about that. But I hate to say it, but the offense just looks better with Arch. I think that Quinn has the potential. Like, you see his arm and you see what he can do. And I personally watched him in high school too when he was on South Lake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you got person who beat him in the state championship coming into Austin to play him this week in Klubnik.
That's right.
Sure.
It's a reunion for both of them.
Yeah. So where I stand on the Quinn Arch debate is it's going to shock y'all probably because I've been on the Arch train since last season. I thought Quinn should have declared or transferred. I think Arch should have started this season. But coming into this game and how Sark has handled the season so far, I think Quinn should start, but he needs to be on an extremely short leash. If he goes in there and plays like he has against Georgia, you've got to pull him and you've got to put Arch in. If this, for whatever reason, starts to become a close game, because Clemson should get boat raced, you have to pull Quinn out and put in Arch. Because
especially the fact, I'm also with Bryce on this. I think Quinn should start. I see your side of things, like Arch looks better, but I do not want Arch to start his technically not his first game, because he started this year because Quinn was injured. if Arch starts, it's because Quinn sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want him to get the pressure already because next year, no matter what, this is Arch teams next year. Like, this is Quinn like last year in Texas. Either he transfers out or he goes to declare in the NFL. But also the pressure is on Quinn. It is on Quinn because literally this series, even if it's one game against Clemson, he's going to get judged on it so hard. Even if he plays the best game he can, it's still be like, why couldn't you not beat Clemson? But also the fact is, with that, this is also playing to his NFL grade. Because if he even declares and he has a terrible college football thing, because we're going as far, not as far as our defense goes, because our defense can only hold up so much. And I think we have the best defense in the nation. I mean, Oregon has a good defense. Ohio State has a good defense. Tennessee only has a good defensive line. But if you're talking about Texas, is right now our identity is defense.
I agree.
Eric, what do you think?
I think that for either one to start, it's going to be a close call. Whoever the coach decides is, both of them have had good showings. Quinn's had a lot of inconsistencies throughout the season, but he's shown flashes of good passing, good, throwing ability that we've seen throughout games and stuff like that. But those inconsistencies are going to be something, like Bryce was saying, that would be a big factor whether or not he's going to start or not.
That's my thing, is like the inconsistency. Quinn has here's my thing. He has the potential to be the best quarterback in his class, the, next future face of the NFL too. But it's just the little things, like the turnovers, the decision making. Not all of them are his fault, There's been plenty of times where, like, I've seen, Bond, draw, some of them aren't his fault, but a lot of his decision making just needs to get cleaned up. And I feel like Bryce said, he is going to be on a tight leash for this game for sure.
And his inability to move definitely hinders the offense. Not just rushing, but inability to even move in the pocket. So this is where I see the Texas Clemson game. I think Texas's defense can hold Clemson. I don't think Clemson scores more than 20 points. I think where this game is going to come down to is Quinn's play, and if Quinn is not playing well, it's going to come down to Sark having the cojones to make a change, make adjustments, and not be stuck into pretty much what he's done all season, especially against Georgia. Where I see this game being is 28-17 is what I see as a good final score. I don't think Texas puts up super high numbers offensively. They haven't done it in weeks. I would love to see them score more, but that's where I see the game ending.
With me on the Clemson side of things as well, can Cade have enough time to for him to complete passes, even downfield? They're not like short team. They do not take short routes. They do not do this. Cade is one of the best in the nation at deep balls. That is his forte, and building off of that play action. Right now, their starting running backs, their two running backs are actually hurt.
He's reliant on those big plays, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is, I do not think Cade has to play hero ball. He has to do everything in his power against this Texas defense. But this is the first time in years that we have seen a Texas secondary be really good. We have the Jim Thorpe winner and John A. Barron, and I don't think he's going to try to test those two corners out. And Malik Common on the other side, going to try to test those two corners out against two freshmen. They're freshman wide receivers. They're two freshman wide receivers. I think this game is going to go down to 35-17. I'm actually going to take the fact that Clemson's not going to score this much. But it's also, the fact is, yes, Quinn's play, but we need to develop that running game with Wisner and Blue very, very much. Because especially if we're going to try to go on and move on against Arizona State or anything like that, we need to be more reliant on the run. Because this year, especially with not Baxter and stuff, the run has been kind of But with Wisner's a surgeons going up, it's just more the fact we need to give him carries, because even against Georgia, we sucked at running the ball, and we need to identify ourselves with the run.
Yeah, my take on that Georgia game maybe a little different. I think that was more so Sark's inability to adjust and do a lot of the misdirection plays. rather than do what they did against A&M, which is run, head up, down your throat football. I think, and that's, again, goes back to my concern a little bit with this game, is Sark tries to do a little too much, and I'm hoping he can avoid in that game. But Eric, how do you see this game going?
Well, I don't see it being too high of a scoring game. I do personally think that Texas will come out as the victor, probably like a 21-14, like nothing crazy. I don't think it will be more than 2 score winning.
So you think it's going to be
Texas side.
You think it's going to be closer than people think it's going to be?
Yes, because I mean, Texas defense has been stout all year. Clemson has been obviously on a high running, and like they've been doing really good, especially Cade Klubnik. So it's gonna be a battle for sure. It just comes down to who's making the right decisions and the play calls.
I will also say, Cade has been playing a lot better this year. Like, Cade has been having a better year for sure. Yeah. But I think that this game has the potential to get ugly. Very much. I don't think that Clemson is all that. Really. Like, I think their best win was SMU, right?
Yeah,
which is what they just played. And I don't think SMU is very good either.
They're not.
The whole ACC.
The thing is, like, with Georgia, they went to Georgia, lost. They also lost to another ranked team as well in South Carolina as well later in the year. Mm-hmm. They're not really good against ranked teams, and the ACC is not really that good of a conference.
Personally, I think that the storyline of Cade coming back to Austin would be one that would be kind of cool, but I personally think it's my personal opinion, 35-7. I don't think it's going to be a game. Really.
Interesting.
Personally, I think the Texas defense is just too good. They got too many playmakers.
Interesting. All right, next on the docket, we've got Penn State versus SMU. SMU is coming up. Penn State. It's going to be a cold game. I believe it's going to be in the 20s, mid to low 20s on kickoff. Close game. Going to be a slugfest. Lots of running the football. The big things here, Kevin Jenkins versus Drew Aller, and seeing whose run game can really kick it off. With it being a cold weather game, I don't see a lot of fireworks. I don't see the ball getting thrown a lot. The way I stand on this game really comes down to Drew Aller's inconsistencies versus Kevin Jenkins' big playability. And then you match that Penn State offense, which is at times really slowed down, versus SMU, who their defense, not a lot of people know, sleeper, statistically ranked as a top 4 defense in the league. Y'all may not agree, but I really like SMU in this game. I think with it being 20-degree weather, I trust SMU's ability to move the ball more. And I trust their defense more than that Penn State defense, who, I don't know, I believe is a little overhyped.
With that also being said as well, I really don't like Penn State in this one as well. Is also the fact is, like, when they go up against a really good ranked opponent like Ohio State or anything else this year, they have not looked as in par. But also the fact is, with it being a cold weather game, it is going to go down to the run game, and they also have one of the best backs in the nation as well, Penn State side. But also the fact is, Drew Aller, is he really that good? Me personally, I do not think so at all. But I really do like the freshman quarterback at SMU as well. Because remember, in the very beginning, they had Preston Stone at quarterback, and everybody thought he was really good too. But they made a QB change, and he wasn't hurt or anything like that. They just made a QB change because, like, hey, this will help our team in the long run. And they were literally a field goal away to beat Clemson. All right? So with that being said, I'm also going to I'm going to say 28-17. I really do think it's going to be a 2-score game. I do think that Penn State's defense is going to do some stuff because they have Carter, one of the draft prospects at linebacker as well, a really good linebacker, is going to be wrecking havoc against that SMU offensive line. But I really do think it does come down to the quarterback play, and SMU's quarterback is playing a little bit better than Drew Aller.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't think SMU is going to take down Penn State. but like I can see it. I understand that SMU is on the come up, and I'm happy for that school because weren't they like a group of 5 like a couple years ago?
Yes,
right?
it was the first year in the ACC.
First year in the ACC, in the championship game. Like I gotta respect it, but at the end of the day, it's Penn State, and they're one of the big what is it? Big Blue?
Big Ten.
Blue Blood?
Blue Bloods.
They're one of the Blue Bloods. So like whether like we've seen it happen before, but in my opinion, I do think Penn State's a little overhyped, but I do think they're going to come out on top. I think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people think it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got Tyler Warren on Penn State, the tight end, who's number 1 tight end prospect, I think, right? Or the Bowling Green tight end might be.
No,
one of those two.
No, I think he also won the tight end award this year as well.
Yeah.
I want to say that.
Something like that. They have a really good defense. I know y'all said that they're a little overhyped.
The defense is not. I really do think their offense is overhyped this year.
Their offense is so overhyped in my opinion. I think their defense is what stands out. They got this kid named Jalen Reed. Do y'all know who that is?
Yeah, I've heard
His
of him.
safety.
Yeah. Safety?
Yeah.
Really good.
Leads the team in interceptions. I think leads the team in tackles too. Yeah. So
Carter's like a really good edge player, and he's compared to Michael Parsons.
Real quick, I want to go back to this. The blue blood comment and the way all college football believes Penn State is a blue blood. They have never beaten anyone. In the last 5 years, who have they beaten? Like since Saquon left, they haven't beaten anyone good. Their offense has been slow, boring. I view them the same as, Missouri, who they're always ranked super high, and then they end up getting spanked and end up like 8-4 playing in the Cheez-Its Bowl. And everyone views them as like this massive, amazing school. And I don't see that. I don't agree with that.
Their stadium kind of like helps boost them up a little bit. Like,
boost them to what? Like
the hype around their games.
Well, yeah,
they do have a lot of hype, and I think that helps them play better too.
But they also need to live up to the hype. That's the real problem. When they're going against ranked teams, even when they're at home, they're not doing as good. And
they did beat number 9 Illinois this year. That is their best, but that's their best win.
I will go back to this. I think if Penn State SMU was a neutral ground game, I feel very confident in SMU. This game, again, I don't feel very confident about. I have it about a field goal game, 17-14. I do have it going to SMU. But like you just said, with that Penn State atmosphere, that's where I see SMU struggling, especially because I believe they're in the high 90s or like in the 110 rankings and penalty yards per game. They aren't very disciplined at SMU, so I could see that being an issue. But if I'm just looking at player versus player, team versus team, I feel better about SMU. What do you think, Eric?
I think both teams, this game's going to be a snooze fest for me. I don't think either team had a really good schedule. So I don't really have anything crazy to say about it. Probably like a low scoring, like high teens, like probably 18-14. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something out the ordinary.
This would be crazy. Like a weird score game.
Yeah. Like I was saying, down to the running and quick decision making.
But the real question is going to be if SMU can pull up this upset, because it's literally like everybody's been saying Penn State because they're going to that state.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I would.
All right, let's start chopping it up with the Indiana versus Notre Dame. Okay, I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like what Eric said about the SMU game, I feel like this is going to be a snooze.
I agree. This is without a doubt probably the worst game on the schedule.
This is probably the worst one. I'll say that. Because literally, you're getting Notre Dame versus Indiana. Indiana, their first ranked opponent was Ohio State, and they looked fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have this one. I really do. It's literally going to come down. I feel like every college football, every single team, it literally comes down to, even the NFL, is QB play. The one thing you can never hide is QB play. So when we're talking about this, I'm literally going to come down to QB play. The run can only help you so much because it will take away the run and see what your quarterback can do. I feel like this game is going to be a blowout. I think Notre Dame is going to beat them 45-7. They are going to run that shit down.
I have strong opinions about Notre Dame. Again, just like I said with Penn State, the whole independence thing, Who did they play in B? A&M.
A&M.
That's the only team that they played that is even half decent.
And they did lose to a group of 5.
They just barely. Yeah, they lost to, was it NIU?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Notre Dame, everyone always ranks high. They get into a good bowl game. They get smacked. We see it every year. They're never good. I don't know. I've got Indiana here. I think they are real. They have a really big playability. That's what they've lived and died off of. I think the reason they lost that Ohio State game is because Ohio State neutralized the big plays. I don't like Notre Dame here. They haven't played anybody. I think Indiana wins off of that big playability. I've got the game 35-21 Indiana.
Yeah. Honestly, I agree this game is going to suck. Just like straight up. This is probably going to be the worst game. I was a big fan of Indiana throughout the whole year at first. And then I looked at their strength of schedule and I saw what everyone else was saying. And I'm not going to lie, both of these teams don't look very good. But I mean, if I had to pick one, I'm leaning a little bit towards Indiana. Just because, you know, I think Indiana has a really good defense this year. Their offense is good, but I'm pretty sure like he has what's his name? What's the coach's name? The new coach? Starts with an S, but anyways,
he's a JMU.
Yeah, he was the JMU coach, and he brought a bunch of those, you know, good defensive JMU stars. And I think that Notre Dame is going to need the run game to work for this game to, you know, be even remotely, you know, decent. And I just don't see it happening. I see, you know, kind of low scoring, well, mid scoring, like 24-21, Indiana.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm going to have to go with John, I believe. I think I'm going to take Notre Dame in this one. I think they're going to have like a sneaky, not high performance game. I think they're going to have like old school football, maybe pull some tricks out the bag, you know, get a couple touchdowns off some sneaky plays. But yeah, I think all around we can all agree it's going to be a kind of lackluster game. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to have to throw out probably like something similar to Preston, probably 24-20 or like something like that.
This is the game to see who gets boat raced by Georgia. Whoever wins this game, it's
either team's going to get out here.
And for me personally, the only reason I'm also like very high and confident on Notre Dame side of things, it is literally Marcus Freeman. I think I said it right. He is
head coach.
Yes, for Notre Dame. His identity is defense. He is a defensive person. He has produced a lot of good defensive players in the NFL. And I think that the defense is going to hold like they did, like Ohio State's defense has done against Indiana. That's why I'm really confident on. Again, this is going to be a snooze fest. Yeah, I mean, if anybody's an Indiana Notre Dame fan, my bad. I'm sorry, but your team's kind of like play absolutely nobody, especially Indiana. You're in the Big Ten. You guys don't really play anybody. So that's also why there's gonna be a snooze fest. So,
it's more to say about that game, bro.
It's a corner TV game.
Yeah.
I'll be watching soccer on the main TV, and I'll have.
The next thing we'll be chopping it up is
Tennessee versus Ohio State.
Yes, sir.
This one is my second favorite game we got going on.
Oh, for sure. Why is that?
Well, Ohio State, I kind of like Ohio State this year, not gonna lie. I know they lost to Michigan, bro. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that was horrible. You gotta bounce back from that. And if they don't, they're getting first rounded by Tennessee. Steamrolled. But if they can bounce back, bro, I think they have a shot of winning the whole thing, bro. Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Smith,
Carnell Tate,
Will Howard, and he's decent, but like, he's a good game manager for them.
They're two running backs.
The two-headed monster, bro. That's I like Ohio State this year, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
So you're gonna pick Ohio State to win?
I got Ohio State over Tennessee. Yeah.
Ooh,
I got it like 35, maybe 28, 35-21.
Where do they say football games are won?
In the trenches.
In the trenches. We look at Tennessee, one of the best front sevens in the nation. we look at Ohio State's offensive line. Terrible. Terrible.
I agree.
You look at Ohio State's pass rush. It's all right. Tennessee's offensive line, it's all right. They looked pretty good when they played Georgia. Did they play Georgia? They played Bama.
No, Tennessee played Georgia.
They did play Georgia.
And that was the second half was pretty bad.
Yeah, but
yeah. I mean, it is Georgia's defensive line. They have
true.
like first rounders at backups.
They played. They did play better than UT's O-line against Georgia, I think.
Yeah,
but I don't think Will Howard has any time to get rid of the ball. You have all of these offensive weapons, but you have no time to get him the ball. I think Tennessee's offensive line versus Ohio State's pass rush, I think Nico's going to have time to get rid of the ball, given I don't think this game scores very high. I think it's a defensive game. I've got this one 17-14 Tennessee.
Yeah, I personally, I just don't think Tennessee has many playmakers. They have a good defense, don't get me wrong. They have a good quarterback. They have a good running back. What receivers stand out to you?
Honestly, no. It's just I really do, like, if you guys know me. I'm a big Ohio State fan. That's my second favorite team in the nation. Mm-hmm. That's my second favorite team, because if you talk about quarterbacks of Ohio State, Barrett, Miller, CJ, Justin, you can name all of them, like Pryor. I really do think that Tennessee is going to win this game. I really do like Tennessee in this game. It is literally because of that defense, and I believe if you give me either Nico or Howard, I'm going to take Nico at potential. Howard has reached that ceiling. Yes, they also have the best freshman receiver, in my opinion, and Jeremiah Smith on the other side. I really do think so. He's broken all receiver records for freshmen at Ohio State. Not all of them, but he broke some records as well. I'm a big Ohio State fan, but it's just like, I really do not believe in Ryan Day at all, because you cannot beat a Michigan team even this year when they're shit. Yeah. They were shit this year. They sucked. Their quarterback play was awful, and you still lost to them. Yeah. And you know how bad they lost to them? Now Ohio's mayor, or not mayor, the Ohio's governor literally banned planting a field at Ohio State field.
That's like literally, you're literally giving up at that point. You're right. That is kind of sad.
That's how butthurt it is. Yes, Caleb Downs and that defense is really great, but if you're going against Tennessee, their head coach, he's been really good offensively and calling plays that keeps Nico safe. And he's not asking Nico to beat them. But yes, Ohio State's defense is going to challenge that. It's like, okay, we're going to take a run away from Samson. But Samson's been really good coming along now, especially towards the end of the season. He's been really good. They were going to rely on that running game to beat Ohio State. And you know this is one of the toughest things to admit when Ohio State is not playing as good. Yes, they have 5-star after 5-star after 5-star. You could have so many 5-stars, right? But can the players fit the culture and how they're going to beat a Tennessee? I don't really see in it. But I do think this game is a shootout. I think, literally, I'm a big Texas fan. This is probably going to be the best game to watch, because I really do think it's going to be coming down to which quarterback makes the better plays. I got this game 45-38.
I think it's a little high, though. I think Ohio's big hitters, I think they're going to outrun the slow-burning Tennessee offense. I don't think there's not too many big people on Tennessee on my side. I agree with Preston, so I think Ohio's going to take it maybe 32-17. I don't think Tennessee's going to really pull out anything crazy against Ohio.
Yeah, see, I don't see Will Howard having time to get the ball off. I don't trust Ryan Day's play calling, just like the governor of Ohio. They're both they are both mentally weak, right? Because the narrative is that Ryan Day can't play Big Ten football, smash mouth, run the mouth. So what does he try and do against Michigan? Tries to play smash mouth football and loses. He lets the media get into his head, and
he's a real bitch. I will say that.
Yeah, very very weak minded.
Yeah. But also, what I'm going to say is that defensive line, they have one of the best the best prospect at the end on Tennessee side. I forgot the name.
James Pierce Jr.
Yes, he's the best prospect at an edge
I will
player
agree with
going
that.
into that game.
I will agree with that.
Their tackles have not been good. Ohio State, the one thing they cannot recruit is offensive line. They can recruit wide receiver, quarterbacks, and all that kind of stuff. They cannot recruit offensive line. And it always starts with the offensive line. If you want to protect your quarterback and give him that time that you need, like with Stark, he recruited a lot of offensive line and defensive line because games have won in the trenches. If you have a good quarterback, okay, you can have a good quarterback. You can have a better pass rush. You can get that good quarterback can be terrible just like that. With a
So
pass rush.
what if Ohio State leans more on like the run game? Besides James Pierce Jr.,
the thing that
who else do they have on that
they
line?
have, no, they're known for that D line.
Yeah, it's that front seven.
That is their front seven. The secondary, that thing can be had. But also the fact is,
So what about like little screens and stuff?
little screens.
Like getting the ball into the playmaker's hands. You know, screen to Judkins, screen to Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, and that's where I think the hole is in this Tennessee game. But again, I don't trust Ryan Day to find that hole.
Yeah.
I think he is too stuck in his path. This is what I want to do. This is what we're going to do to really analyze the game and make proper adjustments.
Especially against Michigan. You could have passed the ball all over the freaking yard against that secondary.
Yeah.
No Will Johnson back there either. But you know what he decided to do is to go where the strength of Michigan was that defensive line and just ran the ball. Again, their offensive line is terrible. They do not recruit good on the offensive line. And that's why I'm saying with Ryan Day, if he actually calls a really good game, yes, I do believe that Ohio State can beat Tennessee. But with that masterclass of freaking disaster this year against that Michigan team, I really do not have faith of him going into this game.
Okay, so now we're going to go into the NFL side, and we're going to be talking about the MVP race in the NFL this year. So this year, we have your top runners like Saquon, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen, right? So all three of them have been really good. Lamar's been your top hitter, your one that's been consistently pretty good. Josh Allen this year has had a bracket year considered last year or like the year before like that. He's had some downsides, but Saquon, again, this year he finally got to a team where he's excelling and there's a team around him where he can really do what he's came to the NFL to do, which is run people over. So I think it'd be kind of hard for Saquon to get the MVP. We can all admit that it's kind of a quarterback kind of game, in that it's almost like a popularity contest. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
I would love to see Saquon break that and get that this year because I think he deserves some sort of award this year. But I'd probably have to say maybe a back-to-back Lamar. I don't want to say it, but I mean, it seems true. It seems like that's what it's leaning towards.
You know what the funny thing is? I'm actually going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
As much everybody knows in my group, I'll say this.
This is a Lamar Jackson meat rider.
Yeah.
Meat rider.
And I'm a Steelers fan. That doesn't make any sense at all. But I love Lamar Jackson. Like when he first came out of college, NFL, when he goes to the NFL, wins MVP in his second year, all good and stuff. Lamar had it this year, but his play sometimes hurts them.
He's the reason why they're 9-5.
Yeah, there's
wins and losses included.
But also, I will say this: the Ravens' defense has not looked good at all, especially last year. But also, the fact is, Josh Allen, the way that he just transformed his game from being a freaking turnover machine to like only having only a few turnovers. And you know the funny stat is he has not fumbled once this year. That is the most hilarious thing. Like, that's not even hilarious. I mean, like, that's amazing coming from Josh Allen. But I really do think Josh Allen's going to win this. Last year, even last year when Lamar won it, I really wanted Christian McCaffrey to win it. But again, the same thing with Eric. I really want Saquon to win it. But the way that Josh Allen's been playing, especially with his what he has as weapons, he doesn't have Diggs anymore yelling in his ears like, pass me the ball, pass me the ball. Yeah. It's more like he's free.
This is where I stand. I agree. I think that, I'm going to be honest, last year, Christian McCaffrey should have won it. I don't think it should have been Lamar. I really don't. He wasn't the leader in passing yards, passing touchdowns, anything. just like I feel like the Heisman was robbed from Genty. I mean, Travis Hunter wasn't top 5 in either position. Got it. Just like I think Saquon should win the MVP this year if I were picking. But if I had to go who I thought would get it, it's got to go to Josh Allen. I mean, he's had one bad game against my Texans, where he was held. He looked pretty bad. One of the worst quarterback performances, I think, in a long time. But outside of that, I mean, there's no stopping him. He's ridiculously good. It's hard to figure out how to beat Josh Allen. I mean, as a Texans fan, I look at that Texans game and I see Josh Allen, how he's playing now, and it's how did we even beat him? Like, if I'm being honest, I'm shocked that we did. And this is kind of where I look at it. Lamar has a very good team. Josh Allen, I mean, his receivers have been pretty pedestrian this year. I think if you put Josh Allen on the Ravens are the number 1 seed in the AFC and are your Super Bowl favorites. I think if you put Lamar at Buffalo is maybe 9-5, maybe lower. They're in the wild card race.
See, that's where I would kind of disagree with that a little bit. I really do think Lamar's been playing really good, but also Josh Allen's receivers haven't not been pedestrian. But also the fact is they literally did everything to make Josh Allen comfortable, especially adding Amari Cooper. And I know he hasn't been really that good yet, but especially this playoff push, he's going to lean into more of that. But Shakir is his number 1 guy. Kincaid, and Knox. They use a lot of two tight end sets sometimes as well. With the two, that number 26 guy is pretty good. That running back Johnson. But James Cook has been really good as well.
Yeah, but are either of them as good as Derrick Henry?
No.
Zay Flowers.
No. But also that will hurt.
Mark Andrews.
That also hurts Lamar's case as well, I also think, because Derrick Henry's been so freaking good this year too.
Yeah. Yes, I think if you give, again, I mean, you don't even have to switch teams. I mean, if you put Derrick Henry in Buffalo, they are the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's my
James
opinion.
Cook. James Cook fits that offense of the Bills a lot more.
That's what I was gonna say. When it comes to like Lamar being on, Buffalo or Josh Allen being on the Ravens, like they're both in their respective schemes that fit them. Like I don't think that
they're both similar.
I don't think that Josh Allen would necessarily be boost them to the number 1 seed just because. The Ravens, I feel like Josh Allen's more of like a power quarterback, whereas, Lamar is more of that elusive, speedy quarterback.
Do the Ravens beat the Chiefs if first game of the season if Josh Allen's a quarterback instead of Lamar?
No.
Yes, I think Josh Allen would have found
if Josh Allen was on the Ravens
would not have
the
missed
Chiefs.
him.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I think Josh Allen wouldn't have missed Zay Flowers in the end zone. I trust his decision making and his deep ball more than I do with Lamar Jackson.
That Ravens defense is terrible.
They're non-existent.
No. Buffalo's isn't good either.
No, the last 2 weeks, no.
We beat them without Nico Collins. Diggs was pedestrian. We beat them without Nico Collins, and I'm pretty sure Mixon wasn't even there. And we beat them. Their defense is not very good. I mean, their defense just led.
Their defense is better than the Ravens' defense.
The Ravens' defense is terrible.
I don't know. As much of as you're a Lamar Jackson homer, I'm not big on Lamar. I think, especially just because of this last MVP, I don't think he should have. I don't think he deserved it.
But you can't say that Lamar's not a top 5 quarterback.
No, he's top 5. Do I think Josh Allen's better? Yes.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, if I were starting a franchise from scratch, I would take Josh Allen.
Here's what I would say, okay? I think that Saquon should be the MVP, but he's got Jalen Hurts on his team, who runs in 1-yard touchdowns for what should be all of Saquon's other touchdowns.
So I take him on my fantasy team.
Shut up.
But, unfortunately, that's not how it works out, and so Saquon, and it's a quarterback award. So Saquon's not... Saquon... The bottom of the line is Saquon's not going to win MVP as much as we all want him to. So it's going to be between Josh Allen and Lamar. And
I don't think there's
so listen, boys. Lamar Jackson has more passing yards, more total touchdowns, and less interceptions.
Than Josh?
Yes, he's got.
Oh, Lamar has 3, right? 3 interceptions. Sorry.
He's got 3
Yeah,
interceptions.
he's got
more rushing yards than Josh. Like, every stat he's got better than Josh.
What happens if you factor in the fumbles with Lamar, though?
The fumbles, I have not looked at the fumbles. I'm not gonna lie.
He has more total turnovers. He's got 12.
Oh, he's got 12. Okay.
9
Well,
fumbles.
he still though, like I'm still going to go with Lamar. I think he's having a better year than last year, and
I'll say that. Yeah.
he, I don't think he should have won MVP last year. I will agree with you on that. I think it should have been my boy Christian. But it's a quarterback award at the end of the day. And if I'm being honest, I could see it going either way. I can see your case with Josh, like both of y'all's cases with Josh. Like, I honestly could see it going 50-50. But like, I don't know. I just think that Lamar is having a year this year again.
Who do you think? Here, real quick. Who do you think's the better passer between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson?
Josh Allen.
Josh
For
Allen?
sure. Yeah.
And statistically he's been the better rusher this year?
Statistically, Lamar Jackson.
Josh Allen has been a better rusher this year, more effective, yards per carry. Also, I will say they are tied in touchdowns because of the receiving touchdown to Josh Allen.
Oh, whatever.
ESPN didn't have that listed.
But
that's who I have as
But
CP.
also, I really do think the gap. I think there's a bigger gap than people do expect because how Josh Allen's been playing. Like, he went into Detroit and beat Detroit. Which Detroit's been really hot.
Detroit was who I thought was the best team in the NFL before that.
And his defense wasn't good there. Detroit put up like 38, something like that.
Yes.
Something crazy.
And yes, they did lose to the Rams as well, but if you really look at it, I think Josh Allen has a big gap over Lamar Jackson. Because you can't lose to the Steelers, Lamar wise. I'm a Steelers fan. You can't lose to the Steelers when they're only kicking field goals. We won by kicking field goals.
Yeah, we had 18 points in one game or something like that.
Yeah, that's why you could pick up Chris Boswell, baby. That's why you pick him up. 24 points on fantasy.
27-point fantasy game for a kicker is outrageous.
But
I think that if Joe Burrow's team, the Bengals, had a better record, he would be the MVP.
Yeah. This is the same thing that we saw with Watson a few years ago, where he led in almost every quarterback statistic and category.
Yeah.
But because he was on the Texans and I had to sit through those games, he didn't get it.
But Rick, do you think the MVP race is just like a lot closer than it should?
I think it is really close. I mean, it is impressive what Josh Allen is doing with, like you were saying, the weapons he has at wide receivers. I mean, you've had Keon Coleman, who's had some pretty good games, and then Amari Cooper, who, like you said, isn't a top 5 this year, but is still a decent target he can throw to.
He's still Amari Cooper at the end of the day.
He is still Amari Cooper.
He just gotta get the field.
But same thing with Lamar. Lamar, you have Zay Flowers, who last year had a really good year. This year he's having a pretty
It's all right. I mean,
it's nothing crazy. He's had some good games, but other than that, I feel like both sides you have very similar things. Like if we go to defense, which is not about the MVP, but both defenses are pretty lackluster and have a couple good pieces, but then that's it. But for each quarterback, I feel like it's going to be really close. Lamar, I still have to go with Lamar just because I think he's still having a better dual threat season than.
So
maybe not in
with that case, right? This year you think Lamar Jackson is better than Josh Allen? If you're really saying,
mouth, I'm just saying I think it's a very close race.
So, but you're picking Lamar over Josh.
I'm picking Lamar this year over Josh. Now, Josh,
I meant like this year. So
yeah,
you really think that Lamar Jackson's better than Josh Allen this year? And this is coming from me. I have nothing. I'm just asking.
I do this year.
Yeah.
This year, I'm giving a slight edge to Lamar.
You know me. Everybody knows me. I'm a Lamar guy. But also, I'm going to have to agree with Bryce on this one. I'm Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, all the mobile quarterbacks, except for Caleb Williams. I hate Caleb Williams.
Catching strays.
Yeah.
Talking about the MVPs and Caleb Williams.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is, I'm picking Josh Allen this year. Is because if I really have to trust the ball in someone's hands, I'm not trusting Lamar Jackson because the fumbles are a big thing. And also, really, I was like, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson have been really good this year together. And I mean, in their own respective ways. But sometimes when it comes down to like closer games and stuff, you really do not see Derrick Henry on that field. It's more Justin Hill on that field. And it's just like, sometimes like, especially when they're lined up right next to each other, let's say that Bryce is Derrick Henry, I'm Lamar Jackson, this doesn't work out. You need to have that I formation where
he gets ahead of his team going into the run.
That's how Derrick Henry thrives. If old school running back, you have the I formation with a fullback, he's lined up in the backfield and you hand it off. But that's how Lamar Jackson doesn't thrive as well.
Yeah, well, that's why they bring in Justin Hill on, like you said, those later games and like late drives, because he's able to, swing out to left or right, catch a pass, and make some.
But it makes it a lot more obvious with teams like, oh, they're about to pass. It took Derrick Henry out.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I don't think Lamar should win the MVP. I don't think Lamar's the best player in the league. And my little hotter take, I don't even think he's the best player on his team this year. I mean, they have 2-3 more losses without Derrick Henry coming through. They lose in overtime to the Bengals if Derrick Henry doesn't run the ball 60 yards and give him a chip shot field goal.
But he also fumbled.
Oh, yeah, he also fumbled and tried to give that one away. He tried to give it away multiple times.
Derrick Henry fumbled that game.
Yes, but I'm talking about Lamar's the one that fumbled it and gave it to the Bengals in field goal position.
I thought it was Derrick.
It was Lamar. It was a muffed snap, I'm pretty sure.
Was that his fault? It was over his head.
Like you tell to Eric when we're playing basketball, if you can put your hands on the ball, you should be able to catch it.
All right, let's get into some actual teams. Let's start with the, the defending runner-up Super Bowl champions, the 49ers.
The fifth time.
For like the, third time in my existence.
0-3 versus the Chiefs.
0-3. Well, actually, we're like 0-5 since I've been watching them. 0-6, 0-7,
Same
whatever.
0-3 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Can't lose twice
0-3
in the
Super Bowl.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Anyways, yeah. So I think that this offseason is going to be a big talking point for a lot of us 49er fans. Got some decisions are going to need to be made for sure. Can't keep everybody. I think number one, can't panic, can't fire Kyle. There's been a lot of things that saying that Kyle's on the hot seat. I completely disagree. He's been doing the best he can this year. Okay, like I'm sorry, but he's been like, bro.
Not too many highs.
He single-handedly turned this 49ers team around. Before Kyle, I think won a total of 2 games in like 2 years. And it was a dark times for us 49er fans.
Did a really good job in all the Super Bowls.
The post Harbaugh era, yeah, it was scary. So we need to keep him. I think that Deebo Samuel needs to get on out of here. I love that brother, I do, but he, I don't know what it is. I think he's gained weight. I think he just looks slower.
That Eddie Lacy shit.
Like, I don't know. He just doesn't seem like himself. I don't know if he's like battling like a minor injury or something.
Well, remember, he doesn't get enough targets. That's what he said on Twitter.
Oh, and he got fact checked. Yeah, he got fact checked. And like, I love Deebo. Like, he's one of the guys that changed the program. But like, it's his time in San Francisco. I think is up pretty much.
Thing, man. What about that Brock Purdy? You gonna pay him that money?
Here's what I'm gonna say about Brock Purdy. Okay, I'm not gonna act like Brock Purdy has not had a, I'm not gonna try to act like Brock Purdy has had a good, year this year, because I'll be the first one to say that this has been a down year for Brock.
Different hearing this from last year.
I know. Well, compared to his rookie and sophomore year, like I was a firm believer in Brock, and I'm not gonna lie, I still am a firm believer in Brock. Okay. Listen. As a 49er fan, I've watched a lot of games. I've watched the games with Nick Mullins, with Jimmy Garoppolo, with CJ Beathard,
Trey Lance,
Tim Hoyer, Brian Hoyer, sorry, Trey Lance, all of the games with all the quarterbacks that we've had. Josh Johnson against the Eagles. I know y'all remember that. And no one has looked as comfortable behind the center as Brock Purdy.
So,
I will say that.
Okay. So
I don't know. Listen, it's hard to say like pay him Dak money because he is not worth that. He is not worth that right now based on this year. But last thing I'm gonna say about this. I think we know someone that can game manage. We know someone that can run Kyle's offense the way that Kyle wants. We can't just let that go and then keep drafting quarterbacks and keep trying to do things. So I think that we stick with Brock and we build around him.
Bryce, what do you think about the Brock? Would you pay Brock?
This is how I see, or if I were the GM, this is what I would do. Because the 49ers have a lot of talent. You do not fire Shanahan. I mean, he made Jimmy Garoppolo look like a great quarterback. He has made Brock Purdy at times look like a top 5 quarterback. With that being said, I think if you can sign Brock to something similar to a Baker deal, I think if I were the GM, I would feel comfortable with that. What I would personally do, especially given some recent news that has come out, with Kirk Cousins being benched for Atlanta and Michael Penix coming in, is before Jimmy Garoppolo, before Trey Lance, who did Kyle Shanahan try to pursue in the offseason? The big guy he wanted.
Kurt.
He wanted Kirk Cousins. He said Kirk Cousins is the perfect guy for our system.
But also the fact is, remember, Kyle Shanahan actually was the offense coordinator or quarterback coach at Washington with RG3 and Kirk Cousins. Yes. When Kirk Cousins took over that offense, Kyle Shanahan was also calling plays for the offense in Washington.
Yes. So what I think, there are 2 routes, right? Brock Purdy takes the Baker Mayfield-esque deal, and you go on there, you can figure out Debo, other contracts you can now work around. But this is where I would take it. If Brock Purdy said, no, I want 50 a year, I don't know, let him walk. I'm not signing him to that big of a contract. And then first thing I'm going to do is call Atlanta and see what I can get for Kirk Cousins. Because me personally, I like Kirk Cousins. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he fits the system. That's my opinion on it. As right or wrong as it may sound, Kyle loves him. He's had time. I think Atlanta's issues have been more offensive play calling and coordinator based than Kirk Cousins.
But but also maybe the fact is they drafted Penix right behind him, and that really does surprise him. That surprised him as well. Maybe that also affected him.
Yeah, what I can see is Kirk going there, and you talk to him and say, "Hey, you're going to be a mentor role. Kyle loves you. He loves the way you play. You fit his system perfectly. We are going to trade for you. Maybe someone like Debo, save some money, trade Debo for Kirk and a pick, restructure his contract, and tell Kirk and be very honest with him. We eventually, sometime soon, near future, maybe Quinn falls, something like that. We want you to help develop our future while ending your career here in San Francisco."
As much as I want to see the 49ers downfall coming from a Seahawks fan, I think Purdy fits 49ers more than Kirk. I think like Purdy's like youth and, you know, being able to game manage, like Preston says, and able to kind of take the offense in control has a better fit than Kirk, I think. I think they keep Brock, but obviously don't give him a Dak contract. He's not worthy of a Dak contract. I'd say probably, like you said, like a Baker contract.
Will he take a Baker contract though? Is what we're all trying to think. Is like, you know, will he take a Baker contract or is he going to demand a Dak contract? Because, you know, if he demands a Dak contract, like, you know, I think that if he demands a Dak contract, that the 49ers are going to pay him. Is that something we all want? I don't know. I really don't know right now. Like, I'll be honest. It's as a 49er fan, it's a gray area right now of what our future holds. But yeah. What about like the Steelers and Texans though? I know y'all are both. We got some playoff contenders here, everyone except for my team. What do y'all need to do to like?
If we're talking about the Steelers side of things, Steelers, we need George Pickens back. I think also the fact is George Pickens not playing for the third time this year. I think they're resting him, knowing that we already got into the playoffs. Yes, seeding does matter. I think both of us do agree with that. Yes, if the seeding didn't matter, I would probably start considering kind of resting some of our players. Like, we do not need going into the playoffs TJ getting hurt, or vice versa with CJ. What if CJ gets his like freaking knee or whatever? It's just like the fact is we're caring about seeding right now. I think I'm not trying to speak for you, but I think we're caring about seeding right now. But also the fact is we gotta win. We're going against Baltimore this Saturday as well at 3:30. I'm probably not going to tune into this game because this is going to be Texas, what we're talking about. But also the fact is, no George Pickens, our offense looks like crap. Like dog shit. I'm not going to lie. And we can't move the ball. We can't run the ball. I mean, Najee's been having a fumble problem right now. Jalen Warren's okay. Our defense is what's carrying us. But the thing is, with Mike Tomlin, we're going to kind of see he always gets his guys ready to play. But with the Steelers side of things, it's just we're kind of getting ready to the playoff push. George is not, like, we're not trying to force George to play. Especially, we need him during the playoffs.
How do you feel about George Pickens being like a little jackass devil type player?
Little crash
You're
out.
asking the
crash out.
Steelers player that has Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Antonio Brown, Martavius Bryant.
Part of the culture.
Le'Veon
It's
Bell.
Le'Veon Bell. It's literally like we're getting used to these things. Yes, does it suck for him to be like that? Yes, but also the fact is he's literally our best offensive player. You cannot say that he's not our best offensive player. He's an amazing receiver, and he's actually been showing it this year. This is probably going to be one of his best years, but not showing it because he's not playing right now. But he was, before he got hurt, he was in top 5 of receiving yards right now. He's been playing really good. But at the end of the day, Mike Tomlin literally did say to the public that he needs to grow up. He does, but this little crash out stuff, come on. We like seeing it.
Yeah,
we like seeing it.
I think, I don't know, I'll give my little 2 cents on the Steelers, and then I'll move us over to the Texans. But the biggest thing I want to see from Pittsburgh is offensive consistency. You're not going to be able to win a playoff game with Chris Boswell kicking field goals, and that's your only scoring. Unless you play the Ravens, which could happen. Because if y'all lose this week, y'all move down to the 5 seed. The Ravens go to either 4 or 3. It depends on what Houston does with Kansas City. So there is a chance that you could win a game with Chris Boswell just kicking field goals.
MVP race this season?
Yeah, MVP for Chris Boswell.
I mean, he's looking better than Justin Tucker right now.
But that is true. But what I want to see is some sort of offensive consistency out of Pittsburgh, because they've shown flashes of, oh man, this team can be really scary. That offense is humming. Pittsburgh, you always know, is going to have a good defense. But there are other times this season where you look at them and they're like, how is their record the way it looks? And that's nothing against the Steelers. It's just there's been some inconsistency, but y'all are lucky enough to have a great defense to fall back on. That's what I would look to see. And a good coach.
Mike Tomlin, bro.
Yeah, that's what I would look to see, is just some sort of offensive consistency. I think they can make a push.
Man, you're telling me.
What about the Texans though, man? Like,
Houston?
what happened with that offense?
With Houston, what happened with the offense is Nico Collins got hurt and Bobby Slowick got scared. Nico Collins is back. We're seeing him come back to where he was. He was on pace to have 2,000 receiving yards before he got hurt. He was out for 5 games, and I believe is still in the top 10 in receiving yards.
I think he's back in the 5.
Yeah, he may be up there. I don't know. 2 touchdowns last week.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with Houston, there are 2 glaring issues. Offensive line consistency. We're finally healthy again at offensive line, so we'll see how that goes this week against the Chiefs. But I really think it falls down onto play calling with Bobby Slowick. If you look at last year, if you just look at, and I don't think a lot of this is on CJ Stroud. If you look last year at how they were running plays, they were taking deep shots. It was almost as if they were playing with house money. And CJ Stroud statistically was a top 5 quarterback in the league last year, one of the best rookie seasons we had seen out of a quarterback.
Yeah.
This year, Bobby Silk is trying to do more of a West Coast style kind of run the ball. Part of that's been because of injury. But I really think if the offensive line can get right, which they've shown flashes, they've had games where they've looked really good. I think that would give Bobby Slowick enough comfortability to open up the offense. I mean, CJ Stroud last year was the best deep ball passer in the league statistically. And I think that can happen again. We just need Bobby Slowick to have the cojones to open up that playbook, open up that offense. He's not – CJ Stroud just isn't a normal rookie quarterback.
But also the fact is, do you really think like the Diggs injury is also affecting? Because going into
no doubt, bro. No doubt.
Going into it, it's just like,
bro. Before the Diggs injury, I'm pretty sure like the Texans had the number 1 offense, right?
Yeah, everyone was looking at them as like the
they were like the team to beat, and then that happened.
The team to beat. Like, if you're really being honest with the AFC, it's like it's not even the team to go to the Super Bowl. It's like, oh, this team is going to beat the Chiefs. Like, they have the capability. I still believe going into it, like, your guys are going to play the Chiefs this week. I would still believe that you guys actually will beat the Chiefs.
I think we have a good chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
the Chiefs are not good this year, bro.
I think losing Diggs, it kind of sucks. If you watch the Texans game, he didn't jump off the screen, but if you looked into the books and the statistics, he really helped open that up. Do I think we can still? I don't think the chances are amazing, but do I still think that we can make a decent playoff and maybe possibly Super Bowl push without Diggs? Yes, I think it just comes down to Slowick and the offensive line play, and. I mean, our defense has been great.
Yeah, I was going to say, bro, DeMeco Ryans, like, love that guy, bro. They have a good defense.
Stingley's been making that push as well.
Yeah, Stingley could possibly be a defensive player of the year, possibly. I know he's
it's more of an edge rush now.
Yeah, it's more of an edge rusher award. But then you look at it, too. I mean, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are both top 5 edge rushers statistically when it comes to pressures, sacks, etc. And depending on where you look, the Texans' overall defense is, yes, it's you'll see them ranked anywhere from 2 to 5.
Because I think
depending on where you look,
I think the Eagles are ahead of them though. But
I
it's
think
just
so.
Right now, like because like the Eagles' defense looked like poverty, and now it's going up. But
our issue has been having injuries in our front 7, or our linebackers and D tackles. But coverage-wise, DBs were, I'd like to say that we're the best in the league, but that's just my personal opinion.
Rick and Press, what do you guys think? Like, Steelers, Texans-wise, what do you think? Like,
I think that both teams have a strong chance to make a strong playoff push. I honestly, like, a lot of the AFC teams, besides the Bills, like, don't scare me that much. Like, Chiefs, frauds, like 100% frauds. The Bengals are scary. I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. Yeah. Like that is honestly the scariest team right now is the Bengals, and they're not even going to make the playoffs, bro. Like that. Don't get me wrong. Their defense is pretty bad, but like their offense, bro, is Jamar Chase, bro.
Yeah.
That dude is going crazy.
I know that.
I think both teams can go, bro.
I think the Steelers, in my opinion, in my eyes, no offense, have the greater fit for a deeper playoff push than the Texans. Only because also injuries. I think, me personally, don't look at me like that. Injuries have really plagued your team, and like you said, your Diggs was a very big loss. I'm just gonna say. I personally think that the Steelers have a little bit of a step up on the Texans for this.
Oh no!
What teams have beat the Bills this year?
Y'all.
Not us.
I'm just saying as well.
For the first time ever against the 49ers, quarterback got a passing
if you taking offensive game, like right now, so you saying like
no
based on the Steelers, like you're saying like defensive wise,
I think y'all are stronger than the Texans. I'm sorry.
I think it's an interesting conversation.
No, that is an interesting conversation, bro. They both have good.
I think y'all have a clear offensive advantage over the Steelers. I think.
Clear. Yeah.
Yeah,
clear.
It's clear.
Yeah.
It's clear.
Right now, yeah.
No, it hasn't been right now. It's been the whole entire year. It's been the whole entire last year.
Steelers have had struggles with their quarterback, but I mean, Russell Wilson has been, since he was named starter, he has been playing pretty well. You cannot lie. He's been cooking.
Yeah,
Russ has been cooking.
so somewhat. I feel like the thing is with Russ though, I feel like these 30-point games are great, but we got him to be our quarterback because we need more points. But literally, like these last few weeks, we're putting up like what we had with Justin Fields at quarterback.
The last few weeks have been kind of
dog water. It's been dog water, and especially on the offensive side. Like if you look on the Eagles thing, like our defense did what they could do. What do you want them to do? Our offense can't even stay on the field for freaking like 2 minutes tops, and they just send the defense right back in. We got Russ, so we can actually compete. Right now, when we go up against good teams right now, especially good defenses, we look pretty pedestrian. Pedestrian. We look like we don't even look
carrying.
For the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's like y'all. You think you're out, and then here comes your defense back on the field for like 35th time, and then y'all just like somehow pull it through.
Yeah. So Eric, what do you think about Seattle?
Oh boy.
Yeah, bro. I think it's
so. Let me say something here. It's been a rinse and repeat cycle for the last, I don't know, since we lost Russ. It's been put our team in a dishwasher. It's just been like hot and cold. So. One, the quarterback position, Eugene Cyril Smith. I'm calling out the whole name. I love the dude. I have loved him for a little bit. It's been a love-hate. I've always said he has great talent. He has great arm talent. I've received looks like that before, but he has great talent, but his decision-making is his biggest, like, injury to his game. Like, you see the throws that you're like, why the fuck are you throwing that? But but when you look back at the throw, it is a beautiful throw. And then also play calling, it's been pretty piss poor. Also, I mean,
this year,
yeah, I think so. I mean, we've had yes, a great like emergence of JSN. He's been going very well this year, especially since DK had his injury in week 7, and he missed a couple weeks, so he really had to step up and really take the leading role for the rest of this year, I think, because ever since DK has came back, he's been pretty poop. He hasn't really done much. So I think, I don't know when the time will be when we finally get a quarterback, a franchise quarterback. No offense to Sam Howell, I was really hoping for a franchise quarterback throughout the last couple drafts. I mean, no one how it fell that far, but also our line. So our line from last year was good. Our tackles, Abraham Lucas and Charles Collins, obviously were very top tier tackles. This year, both of them have been falling down the drain, and there's been times where Geno's had like, I don't know, a story time of time in the pocket for a couple passes, but especially with our run game, Kenneth Walker has had a terrible bottom barrel year with running, because he literally, I think statistically, has like over 60% of his rushes he's been touched before he even gets to the line. And so combine that with his like good but also bad at times, like, you know, moving around and finding open space, it really has led to nothing. So I think there's a lot of work, there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows. Defense, we have a bunch of key players, a bunch of underrated players, which makes sense. We would have a good defense, but it's just a lack of underperforming.
Actually, recently, ever since you guys made the changes in the bye weeks, you know what Seattle's defense has been ranked? They're ranked the second defense.
They've been better
in NFL.
Okay, but what do y'all think about Woolen this year?
Tariq, they have the best cornerback duo, one of the best. I think the second best. I think I'm going to give it to the Texans with the corners. They have the second best cornerback duo in the
I was
league.
watching some film, and correct me if I'm wrong, but does Tariq look like he's like scared of contact this year compared to like the last few years?
Last year he was very scared. That was something that they talked to him about, that he needs to like get in and get a tackle. That's why they actually benched. He got benched for that reason. This year, yes, he's gotten a little bit better. He put on a little bit of weight to like try and do that. I've watched most of their games. He's gotten into some tackles. Obviously, we have Witherspoon on the other side, who is like no doubt about it, the best tackling DB in the league. I say that dude is a menace when it comes to like tackling somebody. So, but Reek, I think he's had a very quietly good year. Like he hasn't been targeted an insane amount, but like the time he has been targeted, there's been obviously some off balls where we don't know what he's doing. But there's been times where he's really locking people down, I think.
Also, you also made a note of this, that you're now starting Kobe Bryant at safety.
Yes. Kobe Bryant over Rashawn Jenkins after Rashawn Jenkins got
injured. How do you feel like, how's that going? Like, you personally, you've been a really big Kobe fan, even when he got into the NFL. Like, when you drafted him, you watched film on him. I remember you saying that. And you said, like, this guy's really good because you wanted him to start at the slot corner. And then last year, correct me if I'm wrong, they moved into safety. Yeah,
they moved into safety like late in the year because obviously Devin Witherspoon, like they tried him at nickel once. That was in the Giants game where he had that pick six and he had an outstanding game. Obviously, I now see that Devin Witherspoon's a better slot position pick than Kobe. Obviously, because I think he's a little bit better on both sides. Obviously, tackling and coverage. This year, he stepped up in coverage a lot, immensely, I think. But Kobe. Yeah, his rookie season, he came in and he was like almost like a Devin Witherspoon, but not probably as good as coverage. He was really a strong tackler and like he made a bunch of big time plays on the defense. Maybe not picks, but he led the league in I think forced fumbles. I think.
Yeah, Kobe. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he did. So I do think him at a safety position over Rashawn Jenkins is a little better fit than Rashawn Jenkins at the start.
Okay. Yeah. Lines, your D line has been good. I know Byron Murphy's been a little bit injured, but Leonard Williams, he's been really good this year.
Defensive player of the year right there, baby.
But I think the one thing you got to work on is those linebackers, man. It's been a problem. I know, like, you really wanted Jordan Brooks to sign back, and I don't know why you got rid of Bobby at the point because Bobby's been playing really good as well. But
yeah, I would like to answer that question.
I think as well. You're still in the playoff. You guys are still in the playoff conversation.
Barely. Like I said, it's a rinse and repeat from the last 2 years.
Would you want to go into the playoffs, or do you want to like have a higher draft position just in case? Let's say that you moved on from Geno. Would you want to have higher draft capital to try to move up?
Get you a Jaden Milroe.
Being a pretty decent long-term Seahawks fan, we've always gone to playoffs a lot, especially when you see the Pete Carroll era where he was 10 for 14 seasons going to the playoffs. A couple only like 2 Super Bowl runs. But I mean, I would like to see it just to keep up with my ego about the Seahawks. Just to say that we're
no one wants their team to lose.
Exactly.
Like if you have a chance to make the
this year,
unless you're the 2022 Houston Texans, then you want your team to lose.
Yeah, this year and last year we've had like I said, rinse and repeat. We've done really good at the start. This year we went 3-0. Last year I think we were 3-2.
Yeah, 3-2.
Something like that. Really similar to this year. It's like we do good and then we start falling off, and then we have some sort of start scraping by the rest of the season. So I mean,
my opinion, I wouldn't go
either way would be like I wouldn't be mad at either.
Yeah. What about
Bryce, sorry.
I was just gonna say like last thing for like Seahawks wise at least point differential or turnover differential, bro. Like they only got 16 takeaways compared to 21 giveaways.
So
which is like, I'm pretty sure that's like bottom.
The offense is turning over more than the defense is getting turned.
Yeah, it's like -5, which is like it's like top like.
It's just like the thing is
bottom 5. Bro.
I really do think it is time to move on for Geno. They did this on purpose in the contract. You can actually release Geno without taking a big cap hit, or actually not really a cap hit at all, because it is time. You could see what you have in Sam Howell. But this is going to be kind of interesting what's going on with the quarterbacks, because, I mean, Bryce Young is playing good right now, but you never know. There might be a short lease on some of these quarterbacks sooner than later, especially the people that are coming in to it as well, to the NFL. You got Ward's been playing really good. You got Shador. I know they're going to go top
1
5.
and 2.
I think it's going to probably be top 5 because, you still have that Travis Hunter thing. But Bryce, I want to get your personal opinion, and Preston, is it really that time to move on from Geno and start with a new quarterback, or do you think, hey, let's stick with Geno, or hey, let's see what Sam Howell
I
wants?
could say yes.
Go ahead, brother.
Me, yes. I think it's time to move on from Geno. What I would have liked to see the Seahawks do last year, but the Falcons kind of threw a wrench in there. I was hoping for Eric's sake that Penix would have fallen a little bit, because no one expected him to go that high to the Falcons. I was hoping for him to fall to Seattle, or maybe Seattle trade up a few picks to get someone like Penix to sit behind and learn from Geno, because I don't think Geno is like terrible. I think at times Geno's shown flashes, and he's very smart, knows what he needs to do. I think his issue is executing it on the field, and I think he would be a good guy for someone like Penix to have learned from. And I still think he can be. But yes, I think Seattle drafts a quarterback, maybe one of the more project guys, maybe someone like Jackson Dart, who you want to sit for a little bit.
That's a good.
And I don't think you cut Geno unless someone unprecedented comes out on quarterback free agency market. But I do think you draft someone for Geno to mentor.
Okay. Russ, what about you?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. My opinion is very straightforward. I'm a 49ers fan. Geno's ass. He needs to get out. Like, straight up. Like, I'm sorry, but like, we went to that one game. We went to the Dallas game, and he looked pretty good that game.
This turnover.
But like, it's just like, I don't know what it is, man. It's like, he's played. Here's what I'll say. He's played a lot better on the Seahawks than he did on the Jets, for sure. Like, for sure. But at the end of the day, bro, it's Geno Smith. Like, that dude is not your future. You need to get somebody to replace him ASAP. Like,
you say it's ASAP, like
this year, next year. Like,
okay, I don't think he's at. So, like, you're saying ASAP because he's like ass type.
I'm not very big on Geno. I think that the Seahawks have two potential top 5 receivers within JSN and DK Metcalf.
Oh yeah,
and,
for sure. The duo's insane.
And what the potential could be is not what they're playing at. And whether that be coaching or whether that be Geno, you probably know more than me, but personally, just from watching the games, it looks like
I don't think
it's
also
also
a bad
execution.
I don't think you can use that as a second year thing as well, because you just got the offensive coordinator at Washington, which he put up a top 5 college offense. Yes, did it fall short against Michigan? Yes, it did. But that offense was insane, and you brought him over. I get the offensive play calling last year, because that same guy went over to the Bears, and as much as a Caleb Williams hater I am, that made that offense look terrible. Even Jackson Najigma literally said, like, in an interview one time, he's like, hey, what do you guys say about Caleb Williams getting your offensive coordinator? He's like, yeah, he's pretty good, man. Good luck to you, man. No, but I think this year's been more of a Geno thing. Kenneth has sucked, but your backup running back's been really good for the past 3 weeks. So that's something to keep an eye on, because Kenneth is coming down to the contract decision.
Let's move on to our Super Bowl predictions. I don't know. Let's go down the line. Jonah, who do you think is going to the Super Bowl?
Out of the AFC, I'm going to take the Bills. They've been really playing good offensively. We'll see what the defense is going to do. They also re-signed Micah Hyde. But on the other side of things, I was going to go with Lions, but too many injuries is happening right now for the Lions. I'm actually going to go Green Bay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's because, like, I would say Lions, but something about Green Bay getting sneaky, and plus Jordan Love, if you really saw him, he plays good during Tour-a-thon, so let's keep that up. But I'm saying Bills, Packers.
Interesting. I've got the Eagles coming out of the NFC. I think with the Lions having a lot of injuries, I think it's hard to combat that. But my AFC pick, pretty straightforward. Not a shocker to anybody. Houston Texans, book the tickets now. We're going to New Orleans. Book the tickets. No, that's hopeful. Who I really see getting there? Yeah, the Texans. No, Eagles Bills. Eagles Bills is probably what would be my dream is a Packers Texans Super Bowl. I think that would be awesome. Especially going into the narrative of this year, you've got the year 2 quarterbacks. Oh, who's going to be better? Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, going back and forth. I think that would be a great Super Bowl for me. But realistically, I think it's Eagles Bills.
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna go AFC 100%. I feel like the Bills are gonna make it this year. This is their year. I kind of got like a top 3 and then a sleeper pick. So like Lions Bills is my number 1 is what I think. Eagles Bills is my number 2. Those are both kind of interchangeable. I could see both happening. Lions Steelers number 3. Hey, I could see it happening. And my sleeper pick, never say never, Texans Commanders.
That would be a good
Commanders.
I feel like the Commanders are,
They'll be first.
don't get me wrong, like, yeah, rookie quarterback, but I feel like the Commanders are a little slept on.
I feel like the Commanders could be a good, tough matchup, and we'll definitely see how the Commanders stack up against some talent this week with Commanders Eagles.
Yeah.
Eric, what do you think?
Coming from the NFC side, I have another pretty obvious pick. I think the Green Bay. I think they've just, been a clear, dominant team in the NFC. I mean, other than Lions, like we were saying, but they've had injuries and just a couple of mishaps throughout the season that have been, especially the last couple of weeks. AFC, I think Bills. Yeah, Bills. Like, it's really like a agreement with y'all. They've been like one of the number 1 teams in the AFC. Sleeper wise, like random team, I would say. There's a tie. I really do think between y'all's 2 teams. I mean, other than that, it's gonna be the Bills. Probably Bills, Packers.
I think we're all in agreement that the Bills have a really good chance of making the playoffs this year.
The NFC is just like so difficult because you really thought that the Lions are going to be like this, but losing Hutchinson, losing now Montgomery for the year, it's just really hard to justify.
I actually just saw something. He has a chance to make a comeback. He avoided a severe knee injury.
Yeah, really, I did not see that.
David Montgomery.
But for the playoffs.
Fantasy, but
no, it'll be for the playoffs, not for
it'll be back for the playoffs. So
but I think it's hard for me looking at the Lions, knowing that they, from the start of the season to now, they've now lost 15 starting players.
That's the most in the NFL, right?
Yes. Yeah. All right. Going next. What do y'all? So this quarterback class coming out of college. I'm not going to lie, I've been a little underwhelmed. There are, I think, 2 that everyone views clear at the top.
Clear cut.
But, let's go into some quarterback comparisons and where we personally rank them in our list. Eric, do you want to start off?
Yeah. I've looked through some mock drafts, and a lot of people are saying the same thing. I have to agree with the top 2. I said Cam Ward to the Raiders. I mean, either Cam Ward or Shador, I feel like would be a Raiders pick, no doubt. But I feel like Cam Ward would probably make more sense there than Shador. I feel like Shador is more of a Giants fit. It's New York. I say it's a lot bigger market, and being Shador, Deion Son, I do think there's going to be a lot more, makes sense from there for him going there. Now, bottom, other than those 2, I can't say much about the other ones. I mean, you've had Milroe, then you have Ewers, who are still questioning like whether or not he's even going to go to the NFL this year. And then Dart, who I'm not sure. I can't say much on those. But those top 2, I think, are for sure pick for the Raiders and then Giants.
Yeah. For me, I agree. Top 2 is definitely Sanders and Ward. I think Ward edges Sanders out a little bit, in my opinion. I like Ward. A little biased though, because I played against Ward in high school, and it was got stiff arm. We don't want to talk about it, but yeah, I think if I'm gonna do some NFL comparison here. I think, in my opinion, Ward is kind of like a Texans Deshaun Watson. not current like Browns Deshaun Watson, but like his arm talent, like ability to escape the pocket if needed, like just looks kind of comfortable back there. Sanders, I think we've talked about this before, but CJ Stroud. Quinn Ewers, I put Matthew Stafford.
Younger
I feel like, I feel like Quinn has a little bit more ability than Matthew Stafford. Like just a little bit, like a little bit. And I don't know. I just like Quinn's arm strength is just like, I was looking at videos, bro, and I'm not gonna lie, Quinn has a good arm. Like his decision making, yes, holds him back a little bit, but his arm is pretty good.
For those two reasons, I'm throwing in a biased comparison. Geno Smith.
That's crazy.
Hold on. No. Like you said,
Geno Smith.
Hold on. Wait. I'm talking about Seahawks Geno Smith. Now, he has the talent in the arm. I've seen at Texas, he's able to make some pretty big throws, but also just inconsistency in decision and accuracy. We know Geno has accuracy issues. So does Ewers. Also, the talent.
Honestly, I was actually making fun of you, but literally...
Mobility-wise, they're similar. Ewers isn't a Lamar Jackson, but he's also not a Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Geno Smith has some mobility, but also not a Tom Brady sitting log. So I think that is a pretty good comparison to me. But I don't know what y'all two think.
Yeah. What do y'all think?
I think that's pretty decent. I know I'm gonna hold my comp for a little bit just because I had to do some big analysis for that one.
Okay.
Joe?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay,
you can go ahead.
So, some of these quarterbacks have, like, some of them have announced, like Shador's definitely going. He's not going to try to go back next year. He already said that. Ward is going as well. But the rest of them, they actually have choices to go back or to, like, to go to the NFL. If I'm saying right now, these are my top ones: Sanders, Ward, Quinn, Beck, and Miller and Dart. It's not in any specific order, but if I'm going to start off, I think Dart is a more mobile Derek Carr. That's what I think.
I put Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill too?
A little bit.
I think you're a little low on Dart. I think all of y'all are.
I mean, Dart is really good. I think I said Derek Carr-esque, like going in right
Yeah, no, not like...
He's not shit. I don't think he's shit.
Yeah, I think he's good,
he's
but
really
like
good,
what he gives off. You know what I mean?
Sometimes he just goes overboard for no reason. With Milrow, I did some with some of these comps. I really don't see it in the NFL, so I'm like taking like past NFL players and current NFL players. If I'm saying Milrow, he's more like a Cam Newton, Anthony Richardson. I would say more leaning into Anthony Richardson. It's also because running ability is insane. He has good running ability, a good deep ball thrower. We thought, I literally thought, like, when he was balling at the very beginning of the year, like, even when he was playing Georgia, he was really good. But towards the end of the year, he absolutely sucked. Like, you could not, like, go to Oklahoma and only put up 3 points. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. That is very projection. So I say Richardson because he has the potential to be good, but we don't know what that is yet. Beck, I say Joe Flacco. I have nothing else. Joe Flacco, a very statue quarterback. I can't really say anything else. He was going into this, the for sure number one quarterback going off this board. Not over Sanders, not over Ward or anything like that. But he absolutely sucks this year.
I played Jared Goff.
That's actually
a good comp though, because he is.
Yeah.
That's who they compared to.
But I don't know if this new girlfriend of his is messing up with his head or something. But I don't even think he was good enough last year.
Yeah.
Quinn, I'm going to say Tony Romo.
Okay.
I think Quinn is a very Tony Romo quarterback. He can move.
You think Tony Romo can move?
He can't move
a little bit.
He can still kind of move.
But
more mobile than Brady.
Quinn is a gunslinger quarterback. The only reason the Matthew Stafford thing is because Matthew Stafford, if you saw him in Detroit, he had grit. He literally just you saw him truck over people.
Yeah.
I would not. The only time I seen truck over people was against Arkansas. It is literally the Matthew Stafford, he has a great arm, but the more inconsistencies with the deep ball is what I'm concerned of. He's really good intermediate short, but if you're asking him to throw that deep ball, that's a real question. Ward, I have Jordan Love. I feel like he has a little Jordan Love in his game. You can't, like, Jordan Love is mobile. He's a gunslinger. He doesn't have the arm of Jordan Love or, like, the angles that Jordan Love has on the ball, like, as his quarterback predecessor, Aaron Rodgers. But Ward has that mobility and stuff. I didn't really find another comp for Ward. I mean, maybe you guys did, and maybe I'm missing out on some people. But with Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, clear cut, he's going number one. He's the top quarterback going. I know we played against Ward. He's really good. Cam is really good. But the way that Shedeur has been playing pocket-wise, I say C.J. Stroud because literally when you're doing the draft analysis on C.J. Stroud, what is the one thing that we are all questioning on? Was his mobility. Can he move? And CJ proved it when he went against Georgia, when he had to move. And literally, I'll say this, again, Bryce will probably agree with me. If Marvin Harrison Jr. did not get a concussion, Georgia was not going to win at all. I think
They would have won the national championship.
Yeah, Ohio State would have won the national championship that year. That is my hot take.
Rash?
So for me, all right, so I may disagree a little bit. So I think number one, if I'm picking number one overall, we all know there's two clear-cut guys, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. They both have their, ups and downs, right? Cam Ward, he's electric player, all of that. The only issue that you really have with Cam Ward is maybe his decision-making doesn't seem like he takes things super seriously in-game, but that's just his play style, right? And that's something that I think you can work out of him a little bit easier. My question with Shedeur is his deep ball. I don't feel confident in his deep ball. And I feel like that's something that's a little harder to tweak. So if I was picking first, I would pick Cam Ward.
Also, this year, I'm sorry to cut you off, but this year you also had a problem with his leadership as well.
Yeah, he was
Or
kind of the personality, stuff like that. Some of it is good. Sometimes I think it's a little too much. I think it's time and place, and Shedeur sometimes misses the time and place aspect of everything. But if I was picking first, I would pick Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward has a really good chance to be everything that we thought Anthony Richardson would be.
Okay.
Maybe not as mobile, right? But when it comes to the size, he does have mobility that he can use with Cam Ward. And then his throwing the ball. He's just an amazing throw the ball. Watching him is pretty good. It's like poetry on the football field.
No, for real.
But if I would compare him to someone who's in the NFL today, I'd say he is not quite there. I think he has potential to be kind of a Josh Allen, maybe not so much this year, but last year, where he's going to light up the stat sheet everywhere. Touchdowns, passing yards, rushing touchdowns. But where he is going to have some good numbers too is going to be in the turnover margin. I think, especially as a young quarterback, that's my downside there. Yeah. With Shedeur, or I could also compare him kind of to a Warren Moon when you look at his deep ball accuracy.
Okay, that's a really good comp right there.
Let's see. So with Shedeur, I have pretty much the same comp. Jared Goff or C.J. Stroud kind of fits in there. I don't think he has the deep ball of C.J. Stroud.
No.
But similar play styles when it comes to throwing with anticipation and leveling on the field minus the deep ball, which is why I lean a little more to that Jared Goff area, maybe a more mobile Jared Goff. So then we get to Milroe. I think Milroe is some sort of hybrid between Lamar Jackson's rushing ability and a little bit of Kyler, maybe. I'll be honest, I haven't watched him too much this year, but I remember last year his deep ball reminded me a lot of Jalen Hurts' deep ball.
He has a bigger arm than Jalen.
Yeah, but his deep ball accuracy.
Accuracy. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
That's what I put too. Jalen Hurts for him.
Let's see. Jackson Dart is the guy who fits at the 4 slot. I could see, depending on his draft day, I could see him and Milroe possibly moving. I think it all just depends on situation and where they go. I compare Jackson Dart to almost a pre-Sean Payton Drew Brees, a little more mobile. Still, had a good arm, was good with accuracy, but before Sean Payton, had a little bit of an issue with decision making. And that's where I think I could see Jackson Dart fitting. And I think if he gets a guy, not Sean Payton, of course, but similar, that can really help him grow in his decision making, I think he can be a good franchise quarterback. Then I get to Quinn. I've always been very critical of him. I think he has great potential to be the next Will Levis. I think that is his floor. That's where I see him when I watch him. I've never been big. But I think if he gets into the right situation, I think he can be similar to Phillip Rivers in a sense.
Okay.
I
like that.
Phillip Rivers wasn't the best runner, but if he needed to run, he could.
Yeah.
That's where I fit with Quinn. And then I got kind of lazy at the end. Carson Beck, I don't even know what to compare him to. Not maybe someone in the CFL. I don't know.
No, Carson Beck, out of all the QBs,
without a doubt,
had the biggest fall off.
Horrible.
Yeah. So that'll be it for chopping it up, episode 1.
The pilot.
The pilot.
The pilot. This is where the journey begins,
I
y'all.
hope you guys enjoy. Come follow the journey with us as we we will expand on this. This is chopping it up. This is honest takes, honest feedback. We're getting comfortable. We're getting ready. So yeah.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear from y'all in the comments as well, whether you think, I'm an idiot, or any of us are idiots in our takes.
Or he's an
let
idiot
us know,
because
or
he's a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, or if you completely agree with us. Yeah, let us know. We'd love to hear from y'all, engage with y'all. And thank y'all for watching.
Y'all can also let us know that, my takes are better than anyone else here.
Yeah,
and that's where we're going to end it on that. All right.
I'm sure you'll see that.
I don't think it's good, all right?
I'm sure you'll see that, Eric.